Hello and welcome to another episode of Raw Chatter. This is where we talk about the real stuff that you don't necessarily talk about in open conversations, but it's the stuff that is going on behind closed doors. And we're talking about reinvention, we're talking about stories behind why people do what they do, and most importantly, what that means for you. Now, I've got an incredible guest with me today. Karen and I actually met as we were volunteering for an event back at the beginning of the year, actually. And we happened to just hit it off. We met in person for the very first time. And I just love everything about what Karen does, why she does it. And she is going to talk to you about why she named her company, because Karen is the founder of a company called Try Harder is Bullshit. Now, how cool is that for a name? It's actually BS, I know, and you can tell everybody actually what the BS does stand for. But in my head, when I heard it, that's what I said. So Karen is going to share with you the story of the name behind her company, but also a powerful story that she's going to share that I think so many of you will resonate with. So don't go anywhere. If you want to know about the name of the company and about autism, about ADHD in a way that perhaps you've never heard it talked about before, keep watching. Karen, over to you.
Vicky, thank you for that lovely introduction. It is a real pleasure to be here. My company is Try Harder is BS. That is either a bad suggestion if you are of a sensitive disposition, or it is, as Vicky says, bullshit.
Yeah.
It started as bullshit, but I realised that I couldn't actually get on Facebook if I called it bullshit, so I shortened it to BS.
Yeah.
Try Harder is really interesting because Try Harder is something I have heard since I was tiny. I probably had it on every school report. Could try harder. I was trying hard enough, thank you.
I think
Those
so
teachers,
many people will be nodding away. How many times have they seen that in a teacher's handwriting back in the day when they used to handwrite them? Could try harder, must try harder, should try harder, or any iteration thereof.
entirely. And what they saw was that if I had what I now know is hyperfocus, if there was a deadline, if I was panicking, if it was an exam, there was an extra level of performance available to me. And the try harder assumed that I could do that the whole time because they didn't see what that level of performance cost me.
Right.
And it was an assumption that I could do it the whole time.
Yeah.
Now, I'm pushing 60. And when I was at school, girls didn't have ADHD. In fact, naughty boys barely had ADHD. And autism was barely heard of. It was for people who were in institutions. So my journey to a diagnosis with ADHD and with a strong suspicion that I also have autism has been a very, very long one. It starts with the birth of my own daughter.
Who I've met, by the way, and she is an absolute joy and a delight. We also met, didn't we, at the same event?
We did.
She's brilliant. So the two of you came together.
The way her confidence has grown since that event has been incredible to see. It's kind of a rebirth for her.
Brilliant.
That she's been through. It's been fantastic. But when she was tiny, I worked with children with learning disabilities.
Right.
And if we ran a mile a day with her, she was okay to live with. If we didn't, we were going to have a bad day. And I said to my mum one day, she's clearly ADHD. And mum looked at me and said, of course she's not. Or if she is, all three of you were. Let me think.
Planted a seed.
And she was so clearly ADHD. And we've always worked through that lens with her.
Right.
But it wasn't until she went to university that she self-identified with autism as well. Now, my understanding of autism was quite limited because I'd always worked with the people who were very, very severely autistic,
Right.
people who were non-verbal, self-harming, who were not able to function in society independently.
Wow. Right.
And that was my view of autism.
Of course, that's
So
what you'd experienced, and
that's
that's
what
what
I'd
you know.
experienced. So
Yeah.
I really struggled with this.
Mm.
And so it really challenged me to learn a lot more about autism.
Before you tell us about that, can I just take you back? So for people listening, you recognized that at a young age, your daughter needed physical activity to
Yes.
ensure that she was going to have a good day. Can you help people listening who are maybe unsure? Maybe they're grandparents, maybe they're parents themselves, maybe they're an aunt or whatever, and they have suspicions, but they're not really sure. What other things were you seeing that made you so convinced that it was definitely ADHD that you were dealing with in your daughter at the young age?
At a young age, she was driven by a motor.
Right.
So if she was, so bless her, she slept 6 hours at 6 weeks old and 8 hours at 8 weeks old,
Wow.
which was wonderful and is the only reason she's still alive, Vicky.
Really?
Because she never had a daytime nap unless she was ill from 8 weeks old.
Wowzers.
And she would be on the go from 6 at morning until bedtime.
Wowzers.
Every single day.
Right.
And if she didn't get the exercise, she couldn't focus on her play.
Really?
So we would have every toy in the house out.
Yeah.
Nothing would ever go back in the box. The place would be chaos. Nothing would actually get played with. It would be got out. She'd play with it for a few minutes and then she'd be on to the next thing.
Right.
She wasn't able to pay attention. She wasn't able to focus.
Okay.
If she got the exercise, she was still on the go all damn day. She was absolutely exhausting, but she would be able to focus more for the sort of 15, 20 minutes that you might expect a child of that age to focus for.
Right. This is so helpful, and obviously you figured that out sort of between you what worked and what helped her. Amazing. And then she goes off to uni, and then recognizes autism in a different way to your experience of it, which then sends you down the road of doing research on what actually does autism actually mean and the spectrum that it covers.
Yeah.
Right. So help us now to find out what you discovered.
So I think the big thing I discovered was autistic masking.
Right.
So people think of autism as people who have difficulty socially.
Yeah.
But particularly in girls, there's a lot of autistic masking. So a lot of autistic people, but particularly females, learn social rules, learn how to function in society. So you feel like the odd one out, but nobody sees you as the odd one out because you've learned the rules.
Got you. Yeah.
And I very much started to recognize myself in that.
Right.
As well as my daughter.
Okay.
And so difficulty with rules is another thing that's said about people with autism. Well, as Mendeley so wonderfully puts it, I don't have difficulty with rules. I have difficulty with stupid rules.
Karen, I love that. And this is one of the reasons why we gelled, because my daughter's similar to yours, self-diagnosed about 4 years ago herself. And she'd obviously had suspicions. But one of the things when she was at secondary school, and I can remember her coming home and saying almost to the word what you've just said, is she said, I don't mind rules, but it's when they don't make any sense and there is no reason behind them whatsoever. They are just stupid. And I'm like, she's right. She's absolutely right. But
Yes.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah, that if she understands the reason for a rule, there is an almost fanatical compliance. If she
Correct.
thinks the rule is stupid, she will ignore it, crash through it, work around it, climb over it, whatever it takes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
So
thought,
true. And interesting what you just said there. Sorry to pick you up, but I think these are the things that may seem not actually that important, but are a real clue as to what actually is going on. What were your words? Something compliance, in that if the rule is there,
malicious compliance.
right, malicious compliance, I love it. So it has to be followed no matter what. And
Yeah.
almost to a point where it is fanatical. And I think you're right. There is that, if the rule is in place and I understand the reason behind it, well, I'm going to uphold it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely fanatical. But if the rule is in place and I think it's stupid and you're going to make me do it, this is where the malicious compliance comes in. If you're going to make me do it anyway, I'm going to comply to the point of absolutely bloody ridiculous.
Brilliant.
And I'm going to make it clear that this rule is ridiculous because I'm going to comply so hard that nothing works.
Yeah, amazing.
Like the old work to rules that unions did. That is very much malicious compliance. You know what? If I follow all the rules, this company doesn't work.
Right. And this is the bit where there's often, and I'm not a fan of checklists, but I understand that sometimes people want to have a clue as to what are some of the things. And it's often kind of a tick box of taking things literally. And it is literally
Yes.
as it says. And it works for some things, but not many in today's world.
Yeah. Yeah. And taking things literally is another part of the autism diagnosis.
Yeah.
And it's a joke in the autistic community that I don't take everything literally.
No.
So you've taken the question too literally.
Love it.
And it's really funny because autistic and ADHD people recognize each other.
Mm-hmm.
We are drawn together magnetically by some magic force. And one of the things that was in the diagnosis that is increasingly been recognized as being wrong, although I'm not sure the diagnostic manual's kept up yet,
Probably not,
is the difficulty socializing. Autistic and ADHD people don't have any difficulty socializing with each other.
Right. It's with
They have
people who
difficulty socializing with people who are not, who are
Yeah.
neurotypical, as we
Yeah.
call them.
So, Karen, when you were doing this research and you recognized that you were seeing this in yourself, and obviously you said your daughter self-diagnosed when she was at uni, did you then go down the road of getting an official diagnosis, or did you just kind of, no, I just want to know because I know that this is me and the knowing is enough?
I went down the road of getting a diagnosis for my ADHD.
Right.
And the reason I did that is that I'm not getting any younger, and it's frequently mistaken for dementia in older people.
Right.
Because forgetting things, getting confused, losing stuff that's sat in front of you are all signs of dementia.
Correct.
The difference with ADHD is that you've always had them. So I kind of got that diagnosis to protect myself.
Right.
Because I know dementia runs in my family.
Okay.
And that felt like a protection. But when I got it, it was such a disappointment. Because it made no bloody difference, did it?
Well, you already knew, but you were kind of not doing it because you were unsure. And I think that for somebody who is not sure, I think it can be a sense of relief also. But I also think, and I know that you help people one-on-one to deal with this stuff, that when you get a late diagnosis, for some people, it can also be almost catastrophic to the extent that they look back and see how, if they'd have known this significantly earlier in their lives, they potentially may have made different life choices. But for you, it wasn't either of those things, was it? It was you didn't want to fall into the trap of getting an incorrect diagnosis of dementia later on down the line. So you got your
Yeah.
ADHD diagnosed. And then
And
as you
I think I'd been through that journey long before I actually went for the diagnosis.
right, okay, coming to terms.
I think I've
with
been
it.
through that journey as a result of self-diagnosis.
Right, right. And that's so for you, did you kind of go through, did you give yourself the opportunity to look back on your life, like as a kid at school and how you were treated, and then the what had happened to you in the workforce, and kind of come to terms with it? What was the process for you?
I did a lot of grieving.
Right.
A lot of grieving for how things had been so much harder for a younger Karen than they needed to be.
Yeah.
I did a lot of reflection. And there was a period of real anger and frustration that things were so hard for me and the support wasn't there.
Right. Understand.
And almost a jealousy. I tried to keep a lid on it, but an absolute jealousy that Menely was getting the adaptations she needed and the support she needed. And I'm almost turning into my own mother of pull yourself together.
Really? Wow.
And I really had to keep a lid on that because I could have been really horrible.
Wow. So that's a heck of
So
a thing.
I worked that through with a therapist.
I was going to say, did you do that on your own? Because that's a lot
No.
to take on board. No,
No.
you didn't. And I think that's important for people to hear that. And it's not a case of in any way, shape, or form, therapy showing that there's something wrong. It's allowing you to get to grips with giving yourself the space and the opportunity to do all of those things that you said, to go through that process of anger and grief and frustration and jealousy, which are all kind of emotions that we don't want to recognize that we feel because we're so used to masking and fitting in with the social, and those are bad, and you shouldn't be seen to be. But with a therapist, it was somewhere where you could do that. Amazing.
Yes. And it's a safe place to be angry and to cry and just to have somebody who will listen to you.
It's so important.
And to witness all those things that you've been through.
Yeah. And I think the key thing as well when you're mentioning that is they're not trying to stop you from feeling it, and they're not trying to fix you, and they're not trying to offer you a solution. They are just allowing you to actually feel all of those things and letting you have the space to do that, because when else would you get it?
Yeah.
Cool. So you got that diagnosis, and then the autism, you're kind of going, oh my God, that's me as well.
Yeah, and it just didn't feel worth going down the diagnosis route if it was going to make so little difference again.
Right, which makes sense. Yeah.
So, but I'm absolutely certain I have the both.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting when you start to look at both, because you've got ADHD here, autism here, and then all this space in between is all AuDHD.
Right.
So AuDHD is actually a whole suite of conditions, depending whether you're towards this end or this end.
Right. Yeah.
So it's a whole range of different things. And I work in IT, which is the home of neurodivergent people. So I have worked with neurodivergent people, diagnosed and undiagnosed, for many years as a manager.
Right.
And got very, very good results from my teams eventually.
Right.
Took me 15 or 20 years to learn how to manage people.
Yeah.
And I apologise to anybody I damaged in those 15 to 20 years while I was learning. But over the last 20 years or so, I've always led excellent teams.
Right. And that's because you understand how they are functioning in a world that's not designed really for them to function. Yeah.
And that I really made a study of how do you get the best from people, and how do you help people to get the best from themselves.
And it's not try harder, Karen, is it?
It's certainly not try harder. So I pulled together so many things. So I'm an ex-nurse,
Yeah.
I'm an ex-social worker,
Right.
I'm a qualified coach and mentor, I'm a very experienced manager,
Wow.
and I started doing some coaching completely on the side as a favour to a friend who owns a running shop and has a running team.
Right.
So I started doing some one-to-one coaching with them. And I realised I was loving it far more than my day job.
Right.
Hence the
Fantastic.
pivot.
Yeah. Makes so
Because
much
the
sense.
results I've got with people there, and nearly every runner is ADHD. The results I've got with people there have been amazing and life-changing for people. And I just thought, I need to do this for more people. I need to help more people. Because there is so little that crosses that bridge between autism and ADHD.
Right. And I think you said something, because we were having a little chat, weren't we, before we actually started recording. And you said something that I know is true. There is very little in terms of recognition that the two conditions can and do coexist. So
Yeah.
ADHD and autism. And as you say, there's this massive spectrum in between, which is AuDHD. And the resources and the studying and the stuff that we can actually get our hands on to help people understand this more, it's quite limited at the moment, isn't it? There's not a lot of places we can send people. You're kind of in one camp or the other, and people are very much like you, recognizing, actually, no, it's both.
Yeah.
And for some people, it is more obviously the ADHD side that may seem more prominent now, but wasn't necessarily when they were younger. And
Yep.
for others, it's completely the other way around. And so what do you actually help people to do? Because you are quite unique in that you do understand, because you do have both, and your daughter's in a similar situation. So what do you actually help them with? What are the things that they kind of walk away from you going, oh my God, Karen's made such a difference?
I call it ending the brain war.
Right. I love that term. Tell us
So
more.
I have a framework called Wired to Winning that I've developed. And the
Right.
first step of that is ending the brain war, finding an armistice. Because my experience, and Menela's and my partner's, who's also ADHD,
Right.
that's how we managed to put up with each other. And that's why the bookshelves are chaos, because my books must be vertical and his must be horizontal.
I love it.
But I find it's almost like living with a war in my own head.
Mm.
And there's quite a lot of content on Instagram and the like right now where people cast themselves in two roles.
Right.
And they go, autism wants this, ADHD wants this. So autism wants rules and structure, ADHD wants immediacy and no plans.
Mm-hmm.
And I sit in the middle stuck and I can't do anything.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I ruefully laughed at these like everybody else, and I followed some of these creators. And a few weeks later, I was utterly fed up of them because they were telling me the problem.
Yeah.
I knew the problem. What are you going to do about it?
Right.
And that's when I realised that I've been working with people may have heard of solution-focused brief therapy as a therapeutic intervention.
It's something that has been around for a while, but perhaps isn't as commonly talked about. But just help people to understand what that is in a nutshell.
Solution-focused therapy starts from what are the person's strengths?
Right.
And how do we use those strengths to address whatever problems they may have?
Brilliantly explained. Fabulous.
What are people good at?
Yeah.
And I adapted that into a solution-focused management approach.
Cool.
So when I was a freelance management consultant, solution-focused management was what I did.
Nice.
And it works with teams as well. It works with groups. What are the organisation's strengths? What are the team's strengths? And how do we use that to address the difficulties?
Right.
So I started to think about how I'd applied solution focus to the war in my own head, because I absolutely recognised the war in my own head.
Yeah.
And I recognised that there were moments of armistice. There were moments when there was a peace treaty between the two sides.
Right.
And they were the moments when I was doing something that satisfied both the autism and the ADHD.
Okay. Give us an idea of those sorts of things.
So I love painting, but I find it very, very difficult to just paint. So I do loads of courses and YouTube videos and tutorials. So the ADHD gets the creative playing with paint,
Yeah.
but the autism gets the structured plan that somebody else has given me.
Right.
I don't necessarily end up producing what the person on the tutorial said,
Right.
but because I've got that structured format to follow, I can paint. If you just sit me down with paints, I will freeze.
Okay. That's so well described. And I'm sure that anybody listening to this who has done exactly that is going to be going, oh my God, that's me. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other way around, I'm working on a book of Wired to Winning at the moment.
Brilliant.
And I was writing the book, and the autism is quite happy writing the book because I've got a plan and a structure and everything else. And I realised that while I was writing, I was doing the formatting and I was creating the diagrams. And of course, that's keeping the ADHD engaged.
Right. Yeah.
And it's finding those moments of balance, and it's finding where that balance sits for you.
Right.
Because if either one goes unsatisfied for too long,
yeah,
it's throwing its toys out of the pram and you will have a full-on either autistic or ADHD meltdown.
Right. Now, that is something that I would like you to expand on a little bit, because that kind of meltdown is very different for everybody, isn't it? One of my
Yes.
clients has described hers, and I haven't given it that name as a meltdown, but she kind of freaked herself out in that she found herself literally staring into space and couldn't do anything, and realized that like 2 hours had gone and she
Yep.
just done nothing. Now,
Yep.
that would be what I would kind of describe as a meltdown. But what is that an example of it? And what else is?
Yeah. So a meltdown is basically the effects of an adrenaline overload.
Right.
And there are 4 reactions to adrenaline.
Mm-hmm.
People have heard of fight and flight.
Yes.
So people will get angry, people will run away.
Yeah.
Literally, people will run away.
Right.
People will leave the situation, walk out, slam the door, whatever.
Yeah.
People will fight, people will argue, people will get violent.
Right.
But there are 2 other reactions, which are fawn and freeze. So
Mm-hmm.
you've just given a perfect example of freeze.
Freeze. Yeah.
The other one is fawn, which
Right.
is to go full on people pleasing
Okay.
and try to please everybody. And that's my meltdown, because I will sit and cry about what a terrible person I am and why does anyone put up with me.
Wow. Right. So again, I am sure people listening will be able to identify with doing exactly that.
Yeah.
Not realizing that it is because of what is happening with the adrenaline and the overload and what's going on with the nervous system and how the body is trying to process all of this stuff happening at once. And it's just too much.
Yeah. And let's be honest, the longest I've ever cried for is about 48 hours.
Wow. Karen, wow.
And that was treated as a mental breakdown and treated with antidepressants, obviously.
Right.
Because this woman can't stop crying, so we'll give her antidepressants.
Right. Which the standard medical kind of profession would go down that route. Yeah.
Yeah. And let's make every effort to get her back to the work that has burned her out and put her in this position, because she works with children with learning difficulties, and that must be rewarding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Incredible. So you've experienced this for yourself, and knowing that that is often what does happen. This is where you come in now to offer something different, isn't it?
Absolutely. So I haven't had a meltdown like that for well over 30 years. I still have meltdowns from time to time.
Right.
I have built a very successful career doing all sorts of different things.
Yeah.
Everything from IT to coaching, which is a pretty wide spectrum.
Yes.
And in order to do that, I have developed tools that work.
Right.
And there are lots and lots of management tools out there that almost work for ADHD brains, but not quite.
Right. Give us an example of one that people can maybe think about that perhaps they've
So
done or their workplace has brought in.
the classic one that I talk about a lot is the Eisenhower matrix, which is like 4 quadrants.
Yeah.
So things are either urgent or important.
Yes.
Some things are urgent and important.
Correct. Yeah. I can picture it. Yeah.
Some things are not urgent but are important.
Yeah.
Some things are urgent but not important, and some things are not important or not urgent, so why are you doing them?
Right.
Sounds a great prioritization tool. Everything fits in one of the 4 boxes, and then you decide which one you're working in.
Right.
And it almost works for ADHD brains, except that your brain is not motivated by importance.
No.
It's only motivated by urgency and interest.
Right.
So
Yeah.
let's throw importance out of the window here, and let's think about urgency and interest.
Right.
Because if you've got something that's urgent and interesting, that'll be really easy to do.
Yes.
If it's not urgent and interesting, you will manage to do that as well.
Right.
In fact, they're the things we may well get distracted by.
Yeah.
If it's urgent but not interesting, you're going to leave it until the deadline forces you to do it.
Right. Brilliant.
They're the tough ones.
Yeah.
And if it's not urgent and not interesting, like the vacuuming, it's never going to happen.
Right. It's going to just stay at the bottom of the list. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And this is so important for people listening, because of the work that I do around people with either eating disorders or anxiety and body image issues or alcohol or excessive running. In other words, addictive things. A lot of them have found out, not all of them, by the way, but a number of them have discovered that they do actually have ADHD and autism, as you have clearly described. And, I'm thinking of a couple of people in particular who will absolutely fit those boxes, and the way that they describe how they're feeling and what's going on is exactly that. You've just put it into a framework that people can clearly understand and see, and this is so helpful to know that it's not just you. This is what happens. And actually, and I don't like the term, but I don't know what else term to use, this is kind of normal if you are falling under the category of both ADHD and autism. And it's recognizing that that is you. That is how you are going to function. And rather than trying to function in a different way, what do you then encourage people to do, Karen?
I asked Menely, my daughter, I asked her, what is the single biggest thing that I have taught you about coping with autism and ADHD?
Right.
And she said, you don't have to do things the conventional way.
Nice.
If there is a way that works for you, do it that way.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So we spend our time ending the brain war, learning tools that actually work for ADHD brains.
Yeah.
And finding your own unique solutions. It doesn't have to make sense to other people. If it works for you, it works.
It works. I love that. So, Karen, where can people find you? Because you've shared so much here, and I'm sure people who resonate with what you have shared will be going, where is this woman? I need her. Where are you hanging out?
I'm mainly on Instagram. I
Right.
am tryharder is BS, all one word, no punctuation.
Brilliant. On Instagram.
And I am posting the AuDHD version of daily on there. So that
Fantastic.
means I'm there most days, but sometimes I might miss a few.
But love it. I love it. So this is great. So I will put the link so that people can literally click that link and follow you straight away
Yep.
on Instagram. I always ask my guests this, and you've already shared so many incredible things, but what's the one thing that you would like the listener to leave this episode with?
A life that works for you doesn't have to make sense to anyone else.
Absolutely spot on. I love it. What a brilliant and powerful message. Karen, this has been a joy, and I am so delighted that our paths crossed when they did. And I have absolutely no doubt that you will be a part of my world for a long time, because I think it would be great to have you back on the podcast, and I would like to do more work with you. So, folks,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you, everybody. If you are not yet a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button. If you liked what you've just heard here, give us a thumbs up. If you know that this is going to be helpful to somebody that you care about, then pass it on to them, because there's no point keeping there is no point keeping this stuff to yourself. And I want to leave you with this, as I always do. We only have one life, as far as we know, and one body. So please look after it, because it is looking after you. Thank you.